Good morning, Slater families. This is the fourth part of a five-part series on the high school disciplinary procedures, behavioral procedures, and today I'm going to talk to you about our PBIS. So PBIS stands for Positive Behavioral Interventions and Supports. And the quote I had laid out at the beginning of the video is a great explanation as to why we do it. So PBIS is about us focusing on the positives that we see students doing. We're trying to recognize and identify what we want students to do by seeing, like when we see that positive behavior, pointing it out and making it something to be proud of. So one of our systems within PBIS is to make sure that for every behavior with a student that we're really pointing out, here are five really positive things that you're doing to every one correction, let's say. So we're really trying to bring that focus about, so if a student, as an example, is having a hard time in class, we can recognize, like, today during this time, you're doing great in class. You did this, really appreciate that. So we're trying to focus and pull out those moments of success. So that's a big part of what PBIS is at the high school. So our high school expectations, our PBIS school-wide expectations are around being safe, being responsible, and being respectful. Those are the three that we really hold near and dear and use that across all settings in our school. We also have our teachers set up their own classroom expectations and classroom rules or norms that focus on those three plus any additional that might be specific to their classroom setting. So we make sure through our PBIS system to have our expectations very clearly laid out for our students so they understand what they need to do to have a successful experience here at school. I've attached a document to the newsletter that I'd love for you to check out. It's called Why PBIS. So it's a lot of research around why we use PBIS in schools and the net benefit, so to speak, of PBIS. The difference that you're going to experience through the PBIS system at the high school compared to maybe what you've seen at the grade schools is more focused around what is age appropriate for what I'll just refer to as reward systems. So at the younger ages, oftentimes the rewards are tokens, and those tokens might earn a class towards some particular celebration. At the high school level, it's really the age appropriateness of using a token system goes way down. It doesn't have the impact, and that's a good thing because what's happened is they're hitting an age where their reward is much different. And the reward that we recognize that students really focus on is the social reward. So oftentimes we don't need a token system. We don't need to have kind of a high in the sky, like this is the goal that you're working towards. You're working towards a school dance, or you're working towards a prom. That isn't really the thing that kids are going to gravitate towards at this age group. Instead, what they're really gravitating towards is building strong social relationships with others, whether it's their peers or the adults in the building. So PBIS really allows us to do that because the language that teachers use is going to focus more around finding the positives, really focusing on the positives. And when you do that with a student, you start to build a strong relationship. And our students at this age thrive in building those relationships. So our tokens essentially have become age appropriate relationship building. A big part of our PBIS system is our ISR team at school here. That's with Miss Adams and Mr. Levesque. So Miss Adams is actually our PBIS coordinator. And what they do in ISR is really focused around not only holding students to certain expectations, but giving them a space where they can come and build those relationships and maybe take a few minutes of a break so they start to recognize coping skills. Like if a student, we want a student to know that if they start to escalate, they're getting really upset about something, that they don't respond by saying something they might regret later, but they can actually remove themselves, come to a trusted area, which would be ISR, where they've built those social relationships and be able to process and think through problems and just improve how they go about solving these kinds of conflicts in their life. Um, It's important to understand that ISR is heavily involved in the disciplinary piece at Fairhaven, but they're also very involved in the positive relationship piece. They hold both of those at the same time in a very effective manner. So by that, what I'm referring to is holding a student accountable can happen at the same time as building a positive relationship. And our ISR team works really hard to do that. And they also work hard to take students back to the classroom where they help to mediate the relationship building with teachers as well. So our ISR team is very experienced, has combined probably decades of experience with kids, whether it's working with kids here directly at our school, their own children, and so on. And they bring with them a certain flavor of how you build those strong relationships that ultimately lead to a positive school environment. So I hope this helps to help you understand our PBIS system, and I hope the document I've attached is useful as well. And as always, would love to have conversations if you ever want to reach out and just talk a little bit more about how we do this here. Thank you.